All right. Welcome back to P2P. It's been a little while. The world is burning down, and I, for one, cannot be happier about people around the globe standing up for their rights and fighting back. But we still have a pandemic, and we still have a lot of needs to be met. And there still exists amazing groups that are providing community support and mutual aid across the globe and here in Vancouver. We actually have three amazing organizers, local folks who I actually don't know if you've done any organizing work in the past, but it looks like you all are professionals. I'm with this group called Vancouver Against Corona virus, and they have an army of volunteers jumping in and helping out wherever they can. And from the outside, it looks like you have hundreds of people helping you, but reality is probably closer to what, 30, 40 people?
I guess we have 60, yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much, Stas, for having us. We're very excited for the opportunity to speak about something that we've been working on for more than a month now. So I'll just quickly introduce myself and how I got involved, and then I'll pass it on to Taya and Andrea to do the same. So I'm a master's student, and I haven't lived in BC for 8 years. And I came back here partly because of coronavirus, wanted to be closer to family. And I saw this great global initiative going on through my social media. And I thought to myself, how can we connect others? How can we get involved? And then I got connected with Taya and Andrea. And we started brainstorming and thinking, how can we bring this international initiative called Students Against Corona to our local community? And that's just my introduction, and we'll speak a little bit about the network and how it functions later in the interview.
Yeah, so my name's Taya. I was really lucky to be put in touch with Sofiya by one of the people in my corner of the city, and about Vancouver Against Corona and this opportunity and this network. And yeah, it's been really a cool journey to work with both of these two and so many other wonderful people. But yeah, that's all I'll say for now.
Hey, I'm Andrea. I can confirm Sofiya and Tara are both absolute angels, and they're always up to something. I feel like they're always multitasking with a lot of really cool projects. About myself, similar to Sofiya, I was living sort of outside of Vancouver and got back home right on time before this crisis kicked off. Due to my employment situation, I have a lot of free time on my hands. So when this idea was pitched, I think Sofiya heard about Students Against Corona, the international network, on the news, and it seemed like something we could latch on to, and that's kind of where we've been since then.
If I could just jump in a little bit and give a backstory of Students Against Corona, because what they have been able to do in less than 2 months is pretty remarkable. So they actually started out in the UK, founded on March 17th to be exact, and they were co-founded by a friend and two siblings, so Craig Brown and Irina and Frederick Wonfils. And basically how it started is that they noticed that their grandmother in the Netherlands had difficulty accessing groceries from her home. And so them being located in 3 different cities, they decided to basically launch this project where they match student volunteers or youth who want to be involved with people who are kind of the most vulnerable in our community, so the elderly or immunocompromised who can't leave their home, to access groceries or medication and crucial resources. And basically since then, the network has spread to 26 cities in 16 different countries. And the latest statistic is that Students Against Corona has facilitated aid to 109,000 people worldwide. So pretty remarkable in terms of what they have been able to achieve on a global scale. And here in Canada, as Andrea mentioned, we function as hubs. And so we have hubs in Ottawa, Montreal, Halifax, and Vancouver. And yeah, basically the short-term vision of the organization is to enable this mass bottom-up crisis response through the provision of resources. But in the long term, what the organization really wants to achieve is maintain a connection between students and people in need, even after the pandemic is over. So that's part of how the organization will be transforming and achieving some of those goals in the longer term.
Vancouver Against Corona, I think we initially wanted to do the same thing as Students Against Corona, where we were mostly connecting people to people who could run services and people who needed services. And then on the side, support organizations to the best of our ability. However, we've kind of been evolving with the crisis. So we've kind of been trying to fit towards people's needs. And so we've changed our approach. We kept the same goal, and now we're more so focusing on supporting organizations and little individual projects more so. One example being our food security campaign, which is an unfortunate side effect of COVID-19 is that with all the job losses, it's become a lot harder for a lot of families to get food on the table. So that's something that we're focusing on alongside many other things.
Sorry, you mentioned that Vancouver Against Corona has changed quite a bit from what it was at first, right? And the change is the from directly helping folks now supporting individual groups, correct? Or other organizations?
Yeah, totally. I think that's why it's so hard for us to offer a number, because we originally thought we would be matching team members or volunteers to people who needed grocery runs or medications or dog walking, but it's been more so helping empower people in our group to run projects that they're interested in and to support the causes that we're passionate about. So that could maybe be measured in cans of non-perishable foods or money raised or partnerships. It's difficult to give a number, but that's kind of more so what we've moved towards to and away from services, although we're still doing that.
Mm-hmm. And so what does the day-to-day look like for you, folks? Like the three of you, I'm sure, but then there's other people like Sofiya you mentioned. What does that look like?
Lots of Zoom meetings.
I hear that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So we all have different roles. So my role is definitely less hands-on than the other two. They're definitely more on the ground, so props to them. Maybe that's something we should have mentioned in our introduction, but I'm running more so the communication side of things. And my big thing that I've been trying to push is fundraising, whereas the girls are more hands-on with the other projects. So that's something that they can speak to.
Yeah, I mean, it totally depends on the day and the week. But one thing we did was we held a food drive in the community, and you know that day was completely different from my typical day because I was out with a few team members in the community distributing flyers and then collecting the non-perishable food items, and then we took them to the food bank the next day. Yeah, but in terms of other days, a lot of it is just coordinating with other folks, with Taya and Andrea, also reaching out to organizations that we could potentially partner with, because you may have noticed, covering what's been covering the community response to COVID-19, there have been a lot of resource exchange and help groups that have emerged. And I think a big motto for us as we were coming in, or a guiding thought, if you will, was that how do we merge our efforts so we're not, duplicating areas. So that's kind of the idea and the thought process behind our work. So we've been talking with a lot of folks who are doing similar things and figuring out ways that we can partner and do more good.
I can't tell you how happy I am to hear that you're not trying to duplicate efforts, but like add to that and trying to identify other needs and other ways that you can help. Because so often, groups will try to do same things in the same area, and it's like, well, is it really helping? Or is it just taking up space and time that could be spent elsewhere? But that's just kind of how it goes, right? All right. Well, Taya, what about you?
So what I focus on is like drawing the connections between the team that we're connected with, and then either, well, a combination of the individuals that contact us with like their whatever their need for support might be, and then as Andrea and Sophia spoke to, the organizations that we're in touch with. So I mean that like consolidating efforts has been such an awesome part of it. So a lot of that will be like, okay, what are those tasks that they need? What parts of our team can best support that? And then I think Andrea put it really well, like empowering those people in our team to fill the needs that they see. So also some coordination and like assistance and stuff with those different projects, which we can definitely speak a little bit to what those are.
Yeah. Actually, that brings up a question for me. I've been thinking about this. Didn't you guys like try to do, or not try, but actually did do the whole pictures campaign? Like we'll come to you and we'll take a picture of you socially distancing or physically distancing, right? Okay. Okay. So how do I get that to me? Like how do I get people to come to me?
Well, there is a list actually.
Awesome.
Yeah, there is a list, but we can definitely come to you. There's a way to sign up.
Okay. So why don't we actually talk about the various other groups that you're coordinating with and other campaigns that you're helping out?
Well, I can speak to a couple of the other organizations that are kind of similar to us in certain ways, in that their goal is to connect community members that are seeking and offering and both support. And so that includes one really great one, which is called WeCause. They're set up as a web app where organizations can post their needs, like as a job posting almost, and then those are matched through the app with the people who have signed up with their description of their skills that they would like to offer. So we find a lot of connections through there. They're amazing. They're super efficient, very well connected. And so yeah, we're really lucky to be in touch with them. There's another one that we have done some communication with called COVID Helps, and they're set up out of North Van, and they also have a really sophisticated web system that lets people connect virtually in a way that's so essential. And then in terms of organizations that they have their projects going on, they're not so much exclusively connection focused. They're doing their own projects. So we've been put in touch with like the Lotus Light Society is doing some really amazing food distribution. And we've been lucky to get some people who want to go and support them. And then also the Downtown East Side Neighborhood House has just started their farm plot, which is incredible, by the way. They started on May 11th, and they are going to do amazing things for the community with the food that they're growing down there. And so, yeah, so those are some of the ones that we're connected with.
So to introduce some of the projects that we're either working on or trying to work on or hoping to work on. One thing is we start off the volunteers if they're willing to do leaflet distribution. So to get the neighborhoods aware of that our services exist and that they can reach out to us. We've managed to actually get a hold of some people who need help and also people who are willing to offer help and participate that way. So it's been effective. Mask making is one of our projects that's kicking off, and our food security initiative is a bit of an umbrella that has been our main focus. Sophia, if you want to start with the portrait photography project first, because that's, I think, one of our most proud accomplishments.
All of our accomplishments are proud accomplishments.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we take things in stride and we try to celebrate small victories, and that's what keeps our motivation going, I'd say. But just to add on to what Andrea mentioned about food insecurity being this theme that we decided to take on, I mean, we did some research and we thought, okay, we are trying our best to connect volunteers to people in need, but there are other issue areas that are being unaddressed in the community, and what are those issue areas and how can we help address them. And we thought food insecurity was a very relevant one, because just to give you a stat, and I wish I had a more recent stat, but in 2011, 2012, almost 12% of households in BC experienced some level of food insecurity. And when we started communicating with neighborhood houses or food banks, or just perusing their websites, a lot of them said, there's a shortage for either non-perishable food items or for money, because food banks have greater purchasing power. So when you're able to give them cash donations, they're actually able to buy a lot more. And so that kind of became our focus in terms of doing food drives. But then, and this will give you a really good idea of how kind of our whole project and hub works, a volunteer who signed up to Vancouver Against Corona, said that she is an amateur photographer, and that she saw this really cool photography project in Sweden, where basically a photographer would go to people's homes and would document their quarantine experience. So either do shoots from the house or kind of at a distance, for sure, maintaining all the social distancing rules. But it was kind of just like this super simple idea of creating community connection and just giving people something to look forward to when they're stuck at home all day. And in exchange, she collected non-perishable food donations. And we're like, light bulb moment, because that's such a great way to keep addressing this food insecurity need by employing a creative, avenue that has been proposed to us by our very own team member. Somebody who just joined because they liked the initiative, and then they felt empowered and supported to launch their own idea. So long story short, we've done four rounds of photo shoots, and about, I'd say 20 households. And we're going to be out in the community again on Saturday. So yeah, I mean, it's like, I can't express how gratifying it is to see like the smiles on people's faces when, you get to give them this experience. Like, people get dressed up, they dress up their dogs, and the support in terms of donations has been so fantastic. I mean, we have a full car of donations, non-perishable food items for the food bank, and some have been providing cash donations, which support our fundraising initiatives. So yeah, that's an ongoing project, and perhaps there will be a way to expand it, to maybe share the photos on social media so people can see. Yeah.
You're muted, Andrea.
This is why I never mute myself.
Okay.
So what I was starting to say, but no one got to hear. Essentially, fundraising, the ideas that we have fundraising that are partially kicking off and we're still trying to push to keep going is one of our main focuses right now being food insecurity, is that we really want to support the Greater Vancouver Food Bank. So we've been sharing a link where through our organization they can donate to the Greater Vancouver Food Bank, but another way that we were also hoping that the team members could fundraise on their own is to create ways to engage their neighbors, their family, their friends, either virtually or within the neighborhood, to have little events to get everyone feeling social at a distance, and to encourage people to donate towards the food bank. So that's one of the hopes with our fundraising initiatives. And the Doorstep portrait photography project, I'm mixing it up. I think it's also been great because it gives people the option to either give extra non-perishable foods that they have, or if they're able to donate any cash.
Is there a way to, obviously there is, I'm sure, a way to donate online and not just cash, right?
Yeah, there's a link to our fundraiser for the Greater Vancouver Food Bank, so people just donate via the link.
And I will include it
Yes.
somewhere in the middle of the screen.
There's also a cool initiative that they're doing. An artist has designed, a local artist has designed a print that is kind of emblematic of this time that our community is going through, and it's like a Vancouver scene. And we can include the link to that because that's a way of kind of giving something if you're in a situation where that's an option financially, but then also like receiving this memory that ties us to this like communal experience. So yeah.
How often do you get to like just hang out, even if it is over Zoom?
Well, in terms of hanging out, the three of us are very often on Zoom calls and calling other organizations and other volunteers. I think Tay can speak more to connecting with our team members and what our relationship is like with them because she's closest with them. But I would say between us, we're also friends too. We've been meaning to have a social distance picnic and finally catch up about something not Corona related between all of us. But we try and be friendly as much as we can with our team members as well. We did have one successful Zoom hangout, I guess, with them, and we found that a lot more people got engaged and started pitching projects once they had sort of virtually met us as well. So I think we're hoping to do another one of those soon as well. So if you want to add on to our relationship with our team members, I feel like you would best speak to that.
I mean, you said it really well. Like it's awesome to connect with people who are, driven by this purpose. I think so many people have like stepped into their communities in a new way through this time. And it's awesome to watch people's motivation. It's awesome to see how willing and like forthcoming people are when these opportunities show up. And yeah, I mean, I think what it really boils down to is like everything that we're doing has like this twofold benefit of hopefully like helping the community, but then also bringing the joy of like the person who engages by kind of offering their support. And I also have never like truly made friends over Zoom until this time, so that's been a really cool social phenomena.
Yeah, many social phenomena are taking place right now. Many good ones and some scary, but it is a good time for people to, like you mentioned, to step up and support each other, and it is motivating when you're able to also relax and have fun with the people that you're collaborating with. But speaking of like stepping up and helping out, what is the best way somebody watching this could support you folks?
I think one, we're affiliated with Students Against Corona, but we said from the start, we're open to any youth or anybody who feels young at heart who wants to join the network and support us. So that's one very tangible way of getting involved is, head to our website, Ban Against Corona, click the sign up button, enter your details, and just become a part of this network, become a part of this Facebook group. And Drea does such an amazing job with communicating with all our team members. And I mean, if you have a project idea or you see an unmet, unaddressed need in your community and you just want the support and help to get you off the ground, get in touch with us, pitch us your idea. We'll work together on supporting you so you're not alone in doing this. I think that's one of the values of what we're doing, is that you're not in it alone. And it's a lot scarier. It's a lot more scary to do things when you think that you're doing them alone. And then if you want to support any of the existing projects, if you're a photographer and want to do photographs, well, hey, we have a long list of people who want these photographs. So,
Including me.
including Taz. So, or if you want to support us financially, I think what we try to do is create a number of avenues that people could support us. So, you know, if you can't support us financially, you can support us creatively, and vice versa.
I just wanted to add to what Sofiya said. I think you made a really good point. I think if people want to participate in any ways, just kind of look at what extra resources they might have and the motivation they might have to share those, whether they have a parked car in the driveway and they have the time to help some people, you know, run certain services who don't have access to a car, or, you know, they're lucky enough to be working during this time and they might have some extra cash to donate. They have all these ideas they want to share. You know, just whatever you feel like you have extra on hand, you know, we're always happy to hear about that and to support everyone to run their own initiatives too. Our call to action is really, we encourage everyone to sign up on our website officially, because that way we can get in touch with you when we have access to all the necessary way to stay in touch. The Facebook group is also a really great way to stay up to date with all our progress and to, you know, share your ideas in an open platform that isn't just us talking at you, and you can talk back to us. And we hope that people listening, either who are self-isolating and need help, or people who have extra resources and want to help, you know, feel empowered to reach out to us and ask how they can be involved.
You guys said it so perfectly. And then I also just wanted to say from all of us, if any of the people, you know, we're always wanting more people involved, and to the people who have been with us all along the way, that there's no words to describe like how grateful we are and how essential every single person is.
Look at that. That's for all of you folks out there that have been helping these three amazing women in Vancouver. Thank you, Sofiya, Drea, and Andrea. And thank you, Vancouver Against Corona. And thank you, Students Against Corona, for starting this initiative, for being part of this initiative, and for doing everything that you are doing. I'm really happy to hear that there's such a big focus on food insecurities. You know, I'm really glad to hear that you're having fun while doing this great work. And I'm really glad to hear that you're building community. I think that is the biggest thing for me coming out of this pandemic. If there's one thing I hope people take away, is that we have always needed each other, and we needed each other a lot during this time. And we've learned that now, I think, that if it wasn't for, you know, community, we would be up shit creek without a paddle, and nobody wants that. So thank you once again for joining us. Any last words?
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're an awesome facilitator, and you have such a good message with all of this. So
thank you. I'm gonna stop recording now. This has been P2P. Organizing in a pandemic. It's not fun, but we can make it fun.